One of the first things you see when you enter Lacy's apartment are two large cardboard cutouts of Clark Gable and Marilyn Monroe. He's obviously a movie buff and collector. Posters and photographs are scattered on three walls, including Footloose, a recent picture in which Lacy had a part. On a table nearby, three books: Butch Cassidy, My Brother by Lula Parker Bettinson, The Wild Bunch by Pearl Baker, and The Last of the Bandit Riders by Matt Warner and Murray King. On another table, an ancient coffee can, its antique label partly gone. It bears the date 1906. Inside, a cache of 2 bars of crystal white soap, 3 studio photographs, a man, a woman, and a child, all in turn-of-the-century dress. An old-time $5 bill and a handful of coins, Indian head nickels and pennies. Lacy found the can under an overhanging rock in a remote canyon deep in Wild Bunch country. He can't identify the people in the pictures, but thinks the man may have been an outlaw on the run. Whatever happened, he never came back for these personal possessions. Lacy, fascinated since boyhood with tales of the old outlaws, wants to make a movie about the man who left his name on this canyon wall near Castledale, Matt Warner, who called himself the last of the bandit riders.
He spent 20 years with the Wild Bunch. His first major job was a bank job with Tom McCarty, Butch Cassidy, and Dan Parker. And that was the Telluride bank robbery, and they got away with it. And then they split up for a while. Matt and Tom McCarty went their own way, and Butch and Dan went back home to visit for a little bit. And then they met up at many different occasions again, and they robbed other banks and things together.
But Warner finally got caught, and in 1896 was sentenced to 6 years in the old state penitentiary at Sugar House. When he got out, he decided to leave the outlaw trail and was given an unusual kind of ID.
They had a little card that says, "This man is okay," signed by Heber M. Wells, September 24th, 1900, I believe it was. And on the other side of the card it said Heber M. Wells, and it was embossed. It was the governor's official paper, and he carried that in his wallet in case of somebody cornered him and asked him if he was still wanted by the law, and he could whip that out and say, "Here, I'm okay, the governor says so."
And after that, the record shows he did go straight, eventually even becoming a deputy sheriff and justice of the peace in Carbon County. He enjoyed spending more time with his second wife and children. His first wife had died of cancer while he was in prison. But why did Warner leave his name on this canyon wall in 1920? Lacy says he probably did it while out prospecting and trying to find a cave he accidentally discovered years before while on the run from a posse. In that cave, some 30 bags of gold dust.
He had opened one of them up, and so he filled each one of his front pockets full of gold dust, and took off. And of course, he was on foot, so he couldn't take very much. And so he always told his family that's the reason why he was out in the San Rafael area trying to find that gold and also prospecting at the same time.
Lacy spent a lot of time researching Matt Warner and has even put together an exhibit of some of Warner's personal possessions. These are in the City Museum at Castledale, not far from the site of the saloon where the Wild Bunch used to play cards when not pulling a job or on the run. But when they were trying to get away from the law, a favorite hideout was Robber's Roost, down near Hanksville. It's still just as remote and almost as inaccessible today as back in the 1800s. Warner went back there in 1935 with some friends for a nostalgic look back at the old hideout. He went in on horseback. We did it an easier way in Chopper 5. This old corral, built in 1917, is still in working order and typical of those used by the outlaws who camped a short distance from here.
Easiest way to get away from the law is right here at the Roost. I mean, no one dared come in. It was so rugged. And they figured if it's so rugged, the people were staying there, at least they were staying out of trouble at the Roost itself.
Since 1909, the Robbers Roost Ranch has been operated by the Ecker family. A.C. Ecker is the family member currently in charge. 3 or 4 times a year, A.C. takes trail rides into the old outlaw camp. Ecker says when Warner, Cassidy, and other outlaws on the run came here, they stayed in a couple of caves near a spring.
Yeah, this is the old caves where they actually came in, and used to be there was more room here because this is all blown up with dirt and weeds and brush and stuff. But back in there, you'll see where they used to lay their beds, and you can see it'd be shady in the summertime and out of the wind and rain and snow in the wintertime. So it made an ideal camp for them. And
not far away, a small crystal-clear spring furnished a constant supply of water, a necessity in this parched section of the land.
And this is where the water is, and this is where you could fill your canteen or get a drink or whatever you wanted to do.
Is there always plenty of water here?
Yeah, there really is. It doesn't matter whether it's a wet year or dry year or spring or fall, there's always plenty to drink.
Ecker says in the early days on the ranch, in his grandfather's time anyway, a few outlaws still passed through. But in those days of the Old West, you didn't ask too many questions, and a stranger was always welcome to share a meal and spend a day or two resting up.
So, yes, we think there was some outlaw activity, or probably up as late as 1915 or 20, of different outlaws needing a place to hide that knew this country that had been here before.
Besides the old-time corral, the only other structure remaining near the old outlaw camp is a sandstone chimney. Ecker says it was built by an Englishman around 1900 who tried to start a horse ranch here. That was about the same time Matt Warner was getting out of prison, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid were on their way to South America.